Alex, thanks for your time. As we mentioned, the president, the 45th president, the incumbent, has not conceded, but world leaders from Narendra Modi to Frank Bainimarama in Fiji, Australian Prime Minister Morrison to Boris Johnson in the UK, they've all been expressing their congratulations to Joe Biden, so not waiting for that concession from the White House.
Yeah, Kieran, thanks for having me on, and that's a great question. I mean, from capitals from Canberra to Cairo to Copenhagen, world leaders are starting to realize that, this is going to happen. Joe Biden is going to be the 46th president of the United States. And the American people realized that earlier today. So I think what we're going to see, especially in a Biden administration, as opposed to the isolationism over the past 4 years, is we're going to see Vice President Biden, soon to be President-elect Biden, bring those countries to the table, bring those alliances back into the fold, and approach our position within the world ecosystem as an alliance-based multilateral democracy. So,
are the institutions in the United States equipped, Alex, to manage this situation where you've got an impasse, despite all of the media outlets, Fox News, all the broadcasters, all the newspapers saying it's done, but yet Rudy Giuliani holding a news conference at the same time in Pennsylvania saying, let's hold up the show, let's wait. Is the US equipped to manage this situation?
Well, over the past 4 years, Kieran, US institutions have buckled at times, but none of them have broken. And we saw that throughout the past 4 days during this 4-day election night. They went through all of as many of the votes as they can up until this point. They did, the poll workers worked incredibly hard, and they got a result. It was a clear show of democracy. And regardless of which institution you're talking about, no one man is larger than the U.S. democratic system. And that is going to be proven over the next 60 days or so while President Trump is still in the White House and Vice President Biden is the president-elect.
Ari Fleischer, who is, as you know, a long-time press secretary to former President George W. Bush, she was on Fox News a couple of hours ago, and he said he was asked by Brett Baer, should Republicans start preparing to intervene, to speak to the president? And Ari Fleischer said the president might need to be given a few days to accept the will of the people, but he doesn't want to see any hasty intervention here to try and to talk him around, just let him absorb the situation himself. What do you make of that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think eventually over the course of the next 3 to 5 days, we're going to see President-elect Biden potentially reach out to President Trump. And, the Republican apparatus around President Trump, both in the White House, in Congress, and in governors' mansions around the country, are going to try to lightly move this ship in the right direction so that we can start to have a transition of government here. So we're going to see that, but make no mistake about it. President Trump, he is a fighter. He is not one for decorum. And it wouldn't surprise me if he over the course of the next 60-ish days, he never makes a concession. But ultimately, the American machinery is in place. The American institutional system is in place. And we will have a peaceful transition of power. And I think Vice President Biden will speak to that tonight.
Now, we spoke throughout the campaign many times, Alex. What did you make of the final result? It is, in terms of the popular vote, well over 4 million, the lead of Joe Biden over Donald Trump. But it was closer than many had thought in terms of the Electoral College.
It was closer. We Democrats lost a few seats in the House. That was disappointing, but they'll maintain the majority there. Obviously, Democrats were hoping to pick up a Senate majority. That doesn't look like it's going to happen, although I do have to note that we have 2 special elections in one state coming up in January in Georgia that are going to decide the majority within the Senate. So you can only imagine how much money are going to be poured into those races. But yeah, ultimately, Vice President-elect Biden, had a convincing victory. He's probably going to have a 5 to 7 million person popular vote victory. He's probably going to pick up Georgia in the coming days, getting him to 306 electoral votes, which is interestingly the amount that President Trump had in 2016. And it was a convincing victory. Ultimately, Vice President Biden's going to stand up there on January 20th, 2021, and he's going to say, Madam Vice President and Madam Secretary in relation to, or Madam Speaker in relation to Speaker Pelosi and Vice President Kamala Harris. And it is a momentous occasion. Only 4 presidents prior to President Trump have served one term, ran for a second term, and lost. So this was a big get for Democrats.
And it's a huge challenge ahead, though, isn't it? You spoke, you threw forward to the inauguration late January. Tell me as well, what's the message then that Joe Biden's going to have to articulate to try and heal the wounds of your divided nation?
Yeah. Well, I think he's going to start tonight, Kieran, at 8 p.m. Eastern time, which is only about 3.5 hours away. He's going to be giving a speech that's going to be based on the themes that he's been focused on the entire time, which is unity, us being in a battle for the soul of our nation. And over the course of his Senate career and subsequent vice presidential career, he was always someone who reached across the aisle and at minimum listened. And I think what he is going to do over the next 60 days is he's going to have many conversations across the aisle. He's going to have many conversations with all of the wings of the Democratic Party. And he's going to try to begin to build some middle ground, which frankly hasn't been there over the past few years. But you're right. It is going to be difficult with the potential for a Republican majority in the Senate. But if anybody can bring 2 sides to the table, it is President-elect Biden.
Alex Tureman, Bondi Partners in Washington, D.C. Thanks. We'll talk to you during the week. It's going to be a big week. Appreciate your analysis as always.